Hello. So wonderful to have you here today for another chapter of The Stars Above. Little sunnier today, not as cold as the past couple. Still some strong gusts of wind coming in. So hopefully it doesn't shake my old tripod up, too much. If so, just pretend we're on a little ride, everything will be okay. Vomit if you need to. But I do believe at the end of the last chapter I had mentioned that I was very excited for this chapter, and that would have implied that it was going to be a fun or happy chapter. And then after looking into it, I discovered that I was sorely mistaken, that it actually wasn't a super happy chapter. But that's okay, honest mistake. That doesn't mean it's not a good chapter. There's some very important lessons in it. It's not all doom and gloom. It's just that Icarus, once trauma has been, brought back to the surface, it is difficult to process. And so you make one mistake and then it, snowballs into all these other mistakes, and so Icarus is going through it right now, as is Selene. They triggered each other. And now they're going to have to deal with it, But with that being said, that brings me to today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Whoopsie Daisy, because when you make an honest mistake or, a trivial thing occurs, where all can be forgiven because it's something silly, it's just like, whoopsie daisy, like for example, I said that I was very excited about this chapter because I implied that it was, a happy chapter. Whoopsie daisy. Or like, hey bud, I forgot to TV record TiVo, the Travel Channel's new episode of America's Greatest Water Parks. Whoopsie daisy. Those kind of circumstances, it's okay to use whoopsie daisy and all can be forgiven. There are other circumstances, not so much. Like, hey dude, I know you asked me to feed your gerbil while you went on vacation, but I went to the dispensary and I got all these super duper 20 milligram edibles and I ate a bunch of them, and all of a sudden 3 days went by and I forgot to feed your gerbil. R.I.P. Whoopsie daisy, dude. No, not whoopsie daisy. You fucking degenerate. You killed my gerbil. Whoopsie daisy, not gonna cut it. Or maybe a girl and a dude start seeing each other, and she's like, hey, about last week when we hooked up, I forgot to take my birth control and now I'm late. Whoopsie daisy. And he's like, well, shit. I guess we're going to have to deal with that. But also I've neglected to mention to you that I have crabs. Whoopsie daisy. Or like some other STD or herpes or anything. Whoopsie daisy. No. Whoopsie daisy, not going to cut it. There are situations whoopsie daisy is okay, and there are situations of which whoopsie daisy is not okay. And use your best judgment. Yeah. So anyway, on my end, whoopsie daisy, but it's going to be a really good chapter. Jesus. We got Hurricane Whoopsie Daisy coming in right as I start beginning. No hands. Okay. Chapter 17, Insanity's Universal Lesson. That feeble Chapter 17, Insanity's Universal Lessons. That feeble professing of love caused a limbo period of little communication between us. I was still ashamed, Celine was still confused, and it was much easier to ignore the whole mess. Then one night I woke in a panic, having felt something terribly wrong, and texted her right away. "I can't shake some weird feeling," I said. "Are you okay?" "Weird that you say that, 'cause no, I'm not," she replied. We shared a call. Celine had been going through an old phone with messages and pictures of her mother, having relived those memories and the reality of her absence, a pain of which she'd been bottling up for years, until meeting me. We spoke well into the night as I'd remind her of the love shared between them, and the spirit still residing. While unknown at the time, it was the evening before her mother's birthday. Our bond's odd tendency to sense one another's distress began to grow, while becoming difficult to process. A couple weeks passed before Thea, Celine, and I worked the same shift, and our awkwardness became unavoidable. Thea cornered us after closing shop. "Come with me," she said. "Let's have ourselves a little chat." We'd leave for Thea's van and drag our feet like two kids heading to the principal's office for a lecture on immaturity. "Hop in, you two," Thea said. "We ain't leaving this here spot till you two squash this nonsense and lay your shame to rest." Minutes passed in silence, neither of us fessing up until Thea spoke again. "You know, kiddos, wandering eyes see the most wondrous things, and ever since the three of us found each other, I've been watching so very closely over the two of you. I've seen you happy and sad, cheerful and angry, laugh and scream, smile and cry, dance and stumble, push and pull. I've seen you both brave, and I've seen you both scared. And while I've seen you play, so have you fought, acting petty as you struggled to speak and insisted to pout. I've seen you keep silent, turn from being caught meeting eyes, and react childishly. I've seen and felt you both safe in each other's arms, and witnessed as you'd turn to walk the other way. Always, I've watched you two. Now cut the shit and make up." And so she had, as if for lifetimes. I no longer had to dig very deep in search of courage, for Thea's light, a mother's love, had led the way. "I miss you, Bird," I said, smiling to meet her eyes. Celine paused, meeting mine before speaking. "I miss you too, Urk." "It's settled then," Thea said, cheering, "till the next hardship arrives upon the painful path to sweet love's lane." We left for Thea's apartment and spent the evening sipping chai to a Swans album. It felt as if only one song played on an eerie loop, considering the same lyric kept striking the same chord within me. I was younger once, and I created a lie, and though my body was strong, I was self-deluded, confident, and blind. It was a ballad of cruel foreshadowing. Celine walked out for a smoke, and I followed to sit with her in silence. There was a ringing in my ear like tinnitus, having strained to hear faint whispers. "Don't do it, dipshit. Just keep that damn mouth shut." I dug a finger out of habit, packing earwax to mute any promising insight while muttering, "Shut up already." "What?" Celine asked, chuckling. "Sorry, nothing," I replied. "How are you?" "I don't know. Everything's confusing, seems different, and hurts." The very same pain I'd been refusing to face had begun to surface for Celine in ways equally confusing, as it tends to go for people consumed by fear and doubt. "Why won't you just admit that you feel it too?" I asked like some wounded soldier's final battle cry. "Just say it, Bird." "No," she said, sinking her head between her legs. "I know you've been hurt by those you've cared for, felt betrayed by the world itself, but that doesn't mean you should give up hope. I know what it's like to make love your enemy. Stop!" she cried, cutting me off. "I don't want to know your story, feel your pain, or carry your burden. I don't want to love anyone or anything ever again." Had I been incapable of sensing her fragility while feeding fears she wasn't ready to confront? Had it been my own fear I was unable to accept, that she hadn't loved me? Had actions believed to stem from compassion been cruel and self-serving? This was insanity, my selfishness perpetuating the same mistakes. I pushed too far, and she pushed back. It's quite easy to spout earnest words while being incapable. It's quite easy to spout earnest words while being equally incapable of living them. Just as it's easier to assure another that they're loved before sincerely believing that we ourselves are capable of it. Just as it's easiest to critique the weaknesses of another without realizing we unknowingly carry those very same attributes in blind ignorance. All of this being what makes it so easier, and easiest of all to self-sabotage happiness when slapped across the face with it. An often unrecognized truth is that people can only meet others as far as they're able to meet themselves. In refusing to see things as they truly are, subconsciously, we view the world and those around us as we see ourselves. We hang on for dear life to that which has kept us safe in believing our faults are everyone else's, safe in what's kept us comfortable and free of pain. Comfortability is ignorance, and the more we find ourselves neglecting our own naivete, the more harm we cause to those we wish to spare it from. In projecting my own insecurities, I pushed Celine for growth that I'd yet to undergo myself. We may have been oblivious to it at the time, but neither of us were unique to the idea that we loved to fear and feared to love. It's sad to say, but while she may have torn the masks from my face, doing so only seemed to have fortified her own. Celine was on the verge of tears, yet still I pushed, twisting a knife into her heart that I selfishly believed to be a key. "This world isn't out to get you, Bird," I said, perhaps wishing someone expressed it to me. "What happened will have never been your fault. Your mother didn't leave you, and she will always love you." There's nothing more important than nurturing children with a love they'll grow to understand and cherish. After all, as we age and trauma follows, it becomes so easy to forget. We're practically programmed for expectation as we battle through life for what no one other can provide us. As dear to my heart my mother's held, she'd never been able to show me. I hadn't even come close to understanding it until finding Celine and Thea. The moment we feel love must be spoken or heard, written or read, given or physically held, desiring need for its expression, is the moment love has been lost. The cosmic sanctity behind such transcendental emotion needn't be expressed, only felt. If only I'd understood that in those moments, but divine timing takes its course. However insane, no matter how many times I'd mess things up or act a damn fool, Celine, with Thea's motherly nudge, will have always been the one to have taught me, without having ever tried, to understand this universal lesson. The boundless power behind true love is not one given to another, but felt strong enough within oneself to share for another. Celine's tears fell and, once again, I was the cause. Thea and Rob pranced outside to break the silence. "You guys up for some bowling?" he'd shout. Celine stood immediately, running into Thea's arms before pulling her inside. "Was it something I said?" Rob asked. "No," I replied. "Something I shouldn't have." I worked with Thea the next day, and there was no waiting around on my sad approach. "You know, babes," she said, when Celine stormed in last night, she said that if Robbie hadn't interrupted, she was just seconds from running away from you all the way home." "I mussed up again," I said. "I'm getting pretty good at that." "No, it stinks," she said. "But at this rate, you're en route to hear, see, and feel a whole lot of things bound to hurt much more than this. I hope you're ready for that." I walked into work at 11 a.m. and was left in ruins by 11:14. Crackies provided boxed wine to customers as they shopped, and I began hitting it like a heavyweight champ. Problem was, I'm a middleweight. With an extra 100 pounds, the booze may have not hit back so damn hard. A glass to take off the edge turned to 3, then 5. Come noon, the entire bag of Franzia was slapped dry. A couple of the other girls working that day were allies on our battlefield, having been debriefed by Thea on my tendencies as a self-imploding, love-struck lunatic. We need to get Icarus out of here before this gets ugly, one would say. Another chimed in. Yeah, the council could be here any minute. One look at him and he's canned. We'll tell them he was sick and had to leave. Look, guys, girls, I said. I'm totally cool. Let's sell some clothes. We know, one replied, but get some sleep first. You can sell clothes tomorrow. I staggered over, resting my hand on her shoulder. Listen, doll, I said. Can I call you doll? My little China doll? Listen, just between us girls here. Please, don't tell Celine about this. I was coherent enough to know how bad it would be if she found out, but not enough to trouble myself over being belligerently drunk at work by noon on a Wednesday. They'd each whisper, Don't worry, Icarus. Celine won't find out. Can you walk straight, kiddo? Thea asked, taking me by the arms. Yeah, baby, I said, slurring. I walk better than Sinatra in a raincoat. Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Okay, walk straight home. I'll come get you after work, all right? Promise me. Yeah, I promise. Cross my heart, hope to die. Just joshing you. No detours, she whispered, holding me tight, and stay away from the train tracks. I blacked out minutes after leaving, being unable to recall anything until Thea arrived. Everything from being pulled out of bed to thrown into a van and carried up a staircase was fuzzy. The only definite slide of that damaged film reel was of Thea's face. I was in her arms as she gently laid me over the couch, but it wasn't only her I felt there, nor who I'd see peering into her eyes while drifting off. There, kiddo, Thea whispered delicately. Groans of pain met a sense of relief before muttering back, I love you, Mom. I woke hours later with a throbbing head and each eye glued shut. Music was playing, Lord Huron, fitting as ever. I had all and then most of you, some and now none of you. Oh, take me back to the night we met. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, haunted by the ghost of you. Oh, take me back to the night we met. I strained my eyes tighter as if to close off my ears. Thea was constantly, whether intentionally or not, playing songs from the soundtrack to my demise. What is that god-awful fucking racket? I'd yell, grunting. Her soft chuckles followed, cutting through heartache. I opened my eyes. The lights were dimmed in the room. Thea was sitting on the table in front of me with a motherly grin. It spoke of comfort. Next to her were damp rags, a glass of water, half cup of tea no longer steaming, sandwich with bites missing, and fresh-baked cookies. She'd been nursing me in and out of my comatose state, never having left my side. It near moved me to tears. Hurts, don't it? She asked, dampening my forehead with the rag. What the hell happened? I replied. You fell again, kiddo. You know, one of these days you'll have to stop all this running. Dearest, am I a crazy person? Love drives craziness in us all. We stumble, rise, and repeat. Other than pain, none of this feels real, just some sick, cosmic joke. Pain will worsen the more you each resist. In some way or another, you'll keep hurting her, and she'll keep hurting you, until you both come to realize you're only hurting yourselves. Why does it have to be this way? Such is the path, rocky and arduous. It's up to you to continue walking it. Ask me how much she loves you, how much she misses you, that righteous boy. A clown's clown who walked through those doors that first day with the confidence of 10,000 men. How much? I asked, smiling. Enough to feel you suffer, enough to sense your heartache, enough to bear it, together. To both grow and find yourselves free of it. Nobody asks to become somebody's the one. It's utterly dreadful, much easier to not be. You know, it comes with a great deal of patience and responsibility, but even more torment. And make no mistake, babe, you are the one. How do you know that? I asked in shame. Oh, Irk. She smiled as if so obvious. You light an innocence in Bird that no one other ever will. You show her true happiness. With you, she'll remain a child forever. Those words to this day are the most precious anyone has ever spoken to me, having been engraved in my soul for eternity. Although I couldn't help but feel it was Celine who revealed the boy behind the man, Celine who opened my heart to the playfulness within, and Celine who'd shown me that I'd remain a child forever. Thea's smile grew. You know, she said, in my many years of isolated madness, I've realized through both turmoil and bliss that a huge part of my problem has always been the desire for others to see something they aren't meant to understand. But growth has taught me that truth only matters to the true. In time, you both will come to see that this is love and nothing else. It cannot be broken, altered, diminished, or changed. The path has always been a bloody mess of things, but we move in a flow which leads to healing, redemption, understanding, and an end to such isolated madness. 'Tis a rare song in this universe. The great divide shall be reconciled with happiness. A tricky little universe. How much to appreciate. Looks like there's a storm coming. Well, shit, I said. What a wacky-tacky adventure those weird stars rode us into. While the pain is and will be great, she spoke gently, ruminate in the glow only two others must be drawn to and abide by. This is a beautiful opportunity to shift a dynamic which seeks direction. It's my intention to always right the wrongs and establish the balance that love creates. Know that I am always with you. Thea was loving, comforting, and teaching me in ways my own mother was never able. In trying so desperately to make up for her own mistakes, she'd never addressed those I'd made while following in her footsteps. I came to cherish Thea for I'd never known how to cherish my own mother, nor demonstrate a love she deserved until it was too late. But now, peering further into Thea's eyes, I'd found them both as one, having sought to never make that mistake of going without loving ever again. Thea removed the rag, tucking wet hair behind my ear. I hope you know, Irk, she said, smiling. This is all going to get much harder. Your girls need you strong, but should you falter, fall, and hurt, rise, embrace, and champion that pain. Fight it, Icarus Mikhail. Fight for Bird, for me, for yourself, and never give up. My mother was speaking directly through Thea, words of which became stronger than ever, having heard them many times before. I had fought her fight, bear her pain, and heed that call for my mother's love. And so, within Thea's familiar eyes and spirit once believed lost, I began drifting, to a time I'd fall, yet chose to rise, having never given up. Thank you so much for joining me today during Hurricane Whoopsie Daisy. I'm going to go secure my camp and make sure that nothing flies away to be consumed by the lake mother. Okay, thank you so much for joining me for today's chapter of The Stars Above. We will report back next time, back to you in the, what do they say on the news? Back to you, Frank.